Hello everyone. I apologize again for this voice, but it's just what works for me at this moment, so I hope you don't mind it that much. I will walk you through my editing process again, but this time it's a little more work. I also will not be using Ibis Paint. I will at the beginning, but not for the full edit. It's definitely possible there, so you can use it. But I'm using Procreate. Unfortunately, it's not only a paid app, but also only available on Apple devices. If you have it, then awesome. If not, that's also fine. You can achieve this in Ibis Paint as well. And last thing I want to say is that for this edit you probably need some experience with digital drawing and digital drawing programs. I don't want this video to be too long, so if you don't know the drawing programs, I will list some helpful videos in the description for you. Okay, that's enough for the intro, and let's jump in. Again, we will start with taking a picture in Zepeto app. Click the camera icon and choose a pose that you like. Then save it with transparent background.
All alone, you were all that I need. I try to forget that sometimes we're not close.
To prepare a canvas, go to PixArt and just choose a plain white background from there. Then crop it using the portrait form. After that, I open the white picture in Procreate. You can, of course, use any other drawing program that you like. I made another layer and then deleted the one with the white picture because I didn't need it. I just wanted to get the canvas size and I'm lazy to remember the size numbers, lol. Then I inserted the picture with my avatar. I placed her so she takes as much space as possible on the canvas. New layer, and I placed it behind the one with my avatar so I can add a background. For a background, I always searched anime room on Pinterest. Try to really imagine the avatar actually standing in the place. I often see people placing them wrong when it looks like they're floating. You have to keep in mind where their legs start and where the floor on the background starts. When I'm happy with the placement, I always use Gaussian blur on the background to blur it. First, it helps in case the background is pixelated, and it also looks more realistic because camera usually blurs background behind you when it's focusing on you. Then I also duplicated the layer with my avatar and turned down the brightness to make it pure black like a silhouette. The silhouette layer is under the normal layer with my avatar, and I also use Gaussian blur on it. It makes the avatar fall more into place. If I feel like it's too much, I lower the opacity on the silhouette layer. Now it's time for some hair details, which I did on a new layer that is above the silhouette and under the avatar. Most of the brushes I use in Procreate I made myself, but this hair brush isn't mine. It was downloadable for free, but I got it long ago so I don't remember where. I picked a color directly from the hair and started drawing some hair strings behind the avatar to add more volume to the hair. Once I was satisfied, I saved the picture in PNG. And on to a next step, which is the Rimini app. It enhances the picture, so the quality is much better. But it also applies some weird color filter, so for that just click the colors and then on disable to get the original. Then watch another ad to save it. Back to PixArt so I can crop it and prepare it for another app. I also save it before even doing anything just because PixArt sometimes compresses the picture and I need the compressed size saved in full. Then I divided the picture into 3 squares, lower part, upper part, and the third is zoomed in on the face. Moving on to Prequel app. They had some issues recently, but it's working again. If you want to use this app for free and get rid of the watermark, watch the end of this video where I showed how to do it. I paid for the app for a whole year though, and it really is worth it. For my edits, I use this toy 3D filter. The reason why I don't just use the filter on the full picture is that it wouldn't be a good quality. It works better on smaller spaces, so that's why I divided it in PixArt. Now for this part, I use Ibis Paint. I imported the compressed picture I saved in PixArt, so it is the one I got from Rimini, but saved after opening in it. PixArt. Above this, I imported the pictures I got from Prequel. It needs patience. And for the visible lines, I use the airbrush eraser. Also, when it comes to the face picture, I lowered the opacity so I could fit it on more easily. I also made the eyelashes in Ibis Paint as I find it easier. For that, I use thin brush and turn on the force fade, which makes the ends of the brush strokes sharp. The eyelashes are on a new layer. To make it easier, I duplicated the eyelashes and flipped them so I can place them on the other eye. Then I merged the duplicated layer with the original eyelash one, and I saved the layer as transparent PNG. I made another layer and set it as add, which makes the brush strokes glow. I had to watch an ad to unlock the brushes and then selected the pen fade brush. I went back to force fade and made both beginning and the end of the stroke sharp. For fade pen brush, it doesn't make it sharp but fade even more. Looks like I didn't do it because it's not in the video, but I usually do it LOL. Anyway, I selected the skin color and made lines like these on the nose, and used the blur tool to blur it. I love the highlights it makes. Then I also saved this layer as transparent PNG. I click the eye icon to hide both lashes layer and the add one and then save the picture. And the rest is happening in Procreate. If you're using Ibis Paint or any other drawing program, you don't need to save those layers. I did it just because I was moving to work in Procreate, so I imported the picture without lashes and nose highlight. Don't mind the pics in my gallery. I have them for story writing LMO. I imported the lashes and nose highlights here on separate layers and had to set the highlight layer back to add. I again made a new layer right above the original picture, and I started with eyes, as I always do. For that, I used my line art brush and made a black circle. I then selected color from the eye, but didn't like it completely, so I made it a little more bright, and then made another circle with that color in another layer. This circle is slightly smaller than the black one. I clipped the circle to the black one and blurred it so it makes this nice effect. I also went back to the black one and very slightly blurred it as well to get rid of the hard edge. When that was done, I merged the layers together and made another one that I also clipped and set it as add. And I used my brush to create these details. I also merged this one down into one and duplicated it so I can use it for the other eye. I merged them into one layer and then hid the layer so I can work on the whites of the eyes. For that, I created a new layer again. I always use a color that is more like a gray or with hints of red. Don't use pure white as it would look weird and you wouldn't be able to make any highlights. I lowered the opacity of the original picture so I can see better where I already drew, and I filled the whites of the eyes. Opacity back up, and I uncovered the iris layer and clipped it to the whites of the eyes. I felt like the right eye looked a little weird, so I used a selection tool to move it. You can see me zoom out very often. I do that so I can check how it looks from far away. It's a good way to spot a mistake. I made another layer above the eyes and drew black lines on the lower part of the eye. I then smudged them to create a shadow and make the eyes more 3D. Then I switched to a different brush with low opacity and drew a shadow in the upper part. That one I like with sharper edge, so I don't smudge it. And I erased the excess lines. Time for semi-highlights. For that, I used white color. I went back to the original picture and smudged the eyes to smooth them. New layer, and I drew simple under eye area. Another layer above this one, and I drew dark brown lines on the edges of the under eye area. I then smudged them to smooth it up and create a 3D effect. I merged those two layers and then drew a lighter line between the eyes and the lashes. I decided to add even more highlights to the eyes. And again, I made a new layer for it. It's not needed, but I feel more comfortable working like that. I'm again using my own brush that has little dots. If you're working in Ibis Paint, the best brush for this is Dip Pen Bleed, and I'm using it to create a waterline and one more highlight in the center of the eye. Next, I grabbed a brush that is like a soft pencil, and I made lines like these to highlight the eye area using white color. It might look a little weird up close, but it makes a nice effect overall. The hardest part is behind us. Rest is just really about adding details. For the nose, I use black color to make the nostrils more visible, and then dark brown color on the edges. I made a new layer under this one and made the nose stand out a little more. This might be tricky if you're new to blending. I put dark brown color to the lower part of the nose and then blended it out by the nose bridge.
No need to feel so out of place. Just keep on moving. I've never been so wide awake. Is it too much to make you stay? Oh, so follow me. Show you places you've never seen. Hold on tight, we'll take the...
After that, I decided to add a little bit of blush, and as usual I used a new layer for it. This time at the bottom, I chose a color between red and pink, and my gentle airbrush. I also wanted to highlight the under eye area more, so I drew thick white lines there and blended them out. When I use the term blend, it means using smudging. I thought to mention it in case anyone was confused. Back to the original picture, and I smudged the lips a bit. Then I went to the layer with eyelashes and drew the lip line. This is so I can then color the lips under this layer, and that way it won't ruin the lip line. No need for a new layer. I just went to the one with the blended brown for the nose and colored the lips with my gentle airbrush. I then merged a few layers together to make space for new ones. I merge them only when I'm sure that I don't need to have them separated anymore. And I also added a new layer at the bottom. This one is for shading. In this case, she has exposed basically just legs and a little bit of belly. So I only did shading there. I do it by drawing these dark lines and then softly blending them. And then, of course, using an eraser to clean it up.
Don't get started when you're ready. Waiting up for your body. Don't get started. I drift away another day, passing me by. Time fades, but why doesn't the pain? I need you by my side.
Another layer above this one, and I do the same for a highlight, but this time using white color. And I don't draw the line by the edges, but in the center.
There's something deep inside, too much to deny.
I merged it down to the shading layer and made a new one. This is for shadows. I set the layer as multiply and lowered the opacity. I used my line art brush for this. I'm not really good at figuring out shadows, so this is just simple. Basically, I just draw lines where the clothing ends. Later, I also used a selection tool to make shadows in different areas, but it's barely visible.
For your body, don't get started when you're ready. Waiting up for your body, don't get started.
Tick tock, you have my attention. Show me everything that you got today. Take me to another dimension. I'm so excited what you have to say. I'm not addicted, it's not a crime. I don't get sick when I spend my life in the world I choose with the things I like. Tell me what I should think about my watching time. So sympathetic, damn hypnotic, can't control my body parts.
Then using my line art brush, I drew over the edges of my character like an actual line art. Only on the skin parts though, and not everywhere.
My attention, show me everything that you got today. Take me to another dimension. I'm so excited what you have to say. Tick tock, you have my attention. Show me everything that you got today. Take me to another dimension. I'm so excited what you have to say. Tick tock, you have my attention. Show me everything that you got today. Take me to another dimension. I'm so excited what you have to say. I'm not addicted, it's not a crime. I don't get sick when I spend my life in the world I choose with the things I like. Tell me what I should think about my watching time. So sympathetic, damn hypnotic, can't control my body parts. Got me hooked 'cause you're so funny, entertaining, super smart. Tick tock, you have my attention. Show me everything that you got today. Take me to another dimension. I'm so excited what you have to.
Moving on to the add layer to make some more highlights. I used my gentle airbrush and white color to highlight the lips. And then also made another add layer above and drew a white line on the lower lip and smudged it. I merged the two add layers together and erased the highlight that was over the center lip line.
I don't
I went to the line art layer and picked the hairbrush I was using at the beginning. I just wanted to add some more hair strings, especially over the eyes where they were originally.
Used to feel okay. Wish I never saw it through you.
Then back to the add layer for my favorite part, which are the hair highlights. I drew white lines in places where the hair would shine the most and then smudged it with my hair smudge brush in up and down motions following the flow of the hair.
I don't wanna be alone, but it's too hard by your side. Hey, I'm lost inside. I just wanna see you, I just want you to be true, boy. Hey, be by my side. You don't really want me, might as well just set me free. 'Cause soon it will be over. I'll get on a plane. Tell me when you're sober. Don't try to explain. Soon it will be over. I'll get on a plane. Tell me when you're sober. Don't try to explain.
With my glitter brush, I added more highlights to the lips and then selected the skin color so I could highlight other
I
parts.
just wanna lay here, I've got so much on my mind. Silent all the way, feelings on display. Guess you had a mask on and I should have looked behind. I wish you'd pick up the phone. Everyone thinks I'd be better on my own, but I don't wanna be alone. But it's getting so hard by your side. Maybe it's too late to begin.
I realized I had the shadow in the multiply layer wrong, so I went back to fix it.
Hey, I'm lost inside. I just wanna see you, I just want you to be true, boy. Hey, be by my side. You don't really want me, might as well just set me free. 'Cause soon it will be over. I'll get on a plane. Tell me when you're sober. Don't try to explain.
I went back to add layer for one last highlight. I used white color to highlight the center of the eyes.
You're sober. Don't try to explain.
Now is the time to insert my watermark. I have it saved as PNG, transparent, and after inserting it, I use alpha lock on that layer so I can color it the way I want to. And then I also lower the opacity of it.
All alone, you were all that I need. I try to.
Now I saved it also as PNG, as that keeps it in the best quality. And I inserted it in a new layer. This is just so I can use saturation on it and make all colors more vibrant. And then I saved it again. We made it to the end.
Was to never let you go.
I appreciate if you follow me on Zepeto. I'm very active there. You can also follow me on other social media and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. I'll see you in the next one.